Part 4, Germ Theory versus Terrain Theory. The germ theory of disease was proposed by Robert Koch and Louis Pasteur. Every human disease is caused by a microbe or germ, which is specific for that disease, and one must be able to isolate the microbe from the diseased human being. Terrain theory. Antoine Beauchamp, a chemist, a biologist, a physician, he said that healthy tissue is immune to germ infection. What is important is the biological terrain, that is the status of the internal body. Germs are opportunists, and often they support tissue health and well-being. What's important for health is nutrition, rest, hygiene, exercise, and emotional well-being. The primary cause of disease is in us, always in us, said Antoine Beauchamp in 1883. However, his theory was largely ignored and fell into obscurity. So what is wrong with Koch's theory? Number one, a given disease may be found without the associated virus. Number two, a so-called pathogenic virus or bacteria may often be found in healthy people or animals. These so-called pathogenic germs can live in harmony within the body for decades. So what Koch actually proved is that germs are not the cause of disease. The germ theory is not a standalone explanation for contagious diseases. Thanks to the CDC, we have a nice graphic on the outcomes of poliovirus exposure. You will notice that 90% had no symptoms. That is, they were asymptomatic. Around 7% approximately had a minor non-central nervous system illness. Perhaps 2% approximately had aseptic meningitis, and about 1% paralytic polio. So why was 90% naturally 100% immune, and another 7% approximately basically immune with nothing worse than a cold or flu-like symptom for exposure to polio? Here's a fact that is not so well known. A baby's immune system copes very well with thousands and thousands of bacteria and viruses. Caution: don't make the mistake of thinking it's safe to inject the baby with vaccine ingredients. That is not safe. That is not a natural exposure. Recent developments in something called the Human Microbiome Project says the human body has 100 trillion, that's right, 100 trillion microscopic life forms living in it. In 2016, estimates are that an average body has about 30 trillion cells and 39 trillion bacteria, and the viruses, yeast, fungi, and archaea, other single-celled organisms, make up the remainder of the 100 trillion microscopic life forms. Here's an example of typical bacteria living in the human gastrointestinal tract. We see Candida, Streptococcus, we see more Streptococcus, and yet more streptococcus again. Yet these bacteria live in good harmony as long as the body does not become toxic. The Human Microbiome and the Microbiome Project. This research is just beginning. Gut flora, by their genes, byproducts, and metabolic activity, influence our metabolism, weight, activity, immunity, health, and disease. Manipulation of gut flora may be an integral part of weight loss programs and different disease treatments in the future. Microorganisms are generally our friends, not enemies. How is internal favorable, that is non-toxic terrain, established and maintained? See Part 5 and Part 7 for tips.